Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel. And today we're going to be talking about the Def Noodles and Keemstar situation that's going on. I don't know if you guys have seen anything about this over on Twitter. I did actually retweet a clip yesterday night, I believe, of what we're mainly going to be talking about here today. If you aren't following me on Twitter by now, you actually miss out a lot. I do post a lot of ridiculous things over there and like schizo posts and whatnot for the meme, but truth be told also, a lot of my content that you see here on YouTube, you'll at least get like the early special or like the early preview of it in a way over on Twitter. Not every time, but definitely a lot of the time. So if you're not following me over there on Twitter at sub to Optimus, honestly, you're just missing out on the early previews and all of my opinions that I have over there that I don't share on YouTube. May not be the worst thing, honestly, to miss some of my takes. I do miss every once in a while, but if you like schizo posts and you like to see this stuff early, man, make sure you're following me there. Without the shameless plug, though, there's been a lot going on in the commentary community and realistically in the content creator community in general in 2022. It seems like the possibility of lawsuits happening between creators is a lot higher this year. In fact, just a couple of days ago, I uploaded a video talking about how Jeremy from the Quartering was threatening to sue Pokimane because she allegedly hired a copyright company to come in on her behalf and enforce copyright by basically taking down a bunch of Jeremy's videos on a website called BitChute that were supposedly critical of her, and then talking about how apparently all of this got released and they kind of backed down, meaning that the Quartering kind of won or whatever. But today we're talking about Keemstar and Def Noodles. If you do not know who Def Noodles is, I'll already assume you know who Keemstar is because he's just so well known in the YouTube sphere. If you don't know who Def Noodles is, he is a commentary slash drama reporting slash current topics and events channel. He has about 600,000 subscribers on his channel, verified here on YouTube. And there's a pretty massive drama going on between him and Keemstar. In fact, it's actually gotten so bad that Def Noodles is threatening to sue Keemstar in a class action lawsuit that he is supposedly planning that could cost $500,000, take multiple years to complete, and may even include other creators who feel that they've been wronged, slandered, or had their careers unfairly impacted by Keemstar in the past. Whether he, supposedly, I guess, came after them on Twitter and said slanderous things, or whether he reported on them unfairly on Drama Alert or whatever it may be. The claim is basically that Keemstar made defamatory comments that were untrue about Def Noodles on Twitter that caused a financial impact to his business, may have even costed him some revenue from sponsorships on his channel, and also may have damaged his personal and channel reputation, which obviously is very important. Your credibility is very important when you're trying to, I guess, cover trending topics and news. It's honestly a pretty interesting situation that we're watching unfold here. So to really kind of, I guess, wrap up in the best way possible, just in like layman's terms off the top of the head, what really is kind of the beginning of all of this whole thing here. It really kind of circles back to a few different things that Def Noodles and Keemstar have done to each other. So, from my understanding, Keemstar has a little bit of an issue with Def Noodles and the way that he portrays people in his content. Def Noodles has a history of being called defamation noodles because repeatedly in multiple different situations with different creators, he has allegedly completely botched the details of stories, if not outright embellished them in order to make people look worse than they actually are. He's accused of botching multiple stories covering pedophile allegations and things on YouTube. He's been accused of outright lying about and manipulating the facts of stories about people that he dislikes or has had personal run-ins and issues with in the past. It's gotten so bad that he has actually earned the nickname Defamation Noodles, and people have consistently criticized him for the way that he kind of approaches everything when he talks about it. In fact, he and Keemstar, I believe about a year ago at this point, had a little bit of an issue because if you don't know, there was like this, I think 15-year-old girl that like was nude on someone's live stream, and the only thing really covering up like her private area was a card that said "I love Keemstar" or something like that. It wasn't on Keemstar's stream or anything like that. It was kind of like I wouldn't say a huge story, but like I remember when it all happened and everyone was kind of talking about it and whatnot. Apparently Def Noodles, when covering it, basically made an allegation that Keemstar was a pedophile because of this, because apparently Keemstar had like a screenshot or footage of this on stream, and because obviously he was possessing an image or video or whatnot of a 15-year-old nude, he was being called a pedophile because, it's a gotcha moment. They caught him with the picture or whatnot, and apparently that made him a pedophile, right? And so they've been going back and forth. Their relationship is definitely not good. They definitely have a lot of bad words to say about one another, I would think. But recently, well, I shouldn't say very recently at least, but in the last few months, it got to the point where, Keemstar decided to make a little joke on Twitter, or at least it was supposed to be a joke in fact. So what he basically did was he kind of mocked Def Noodles for his ability to kind of spin the narrative and botching these types of allegations against people and stuff like that. And he basically said that Def Noodles was a pedo, right? He straight up just said that, and it was supposed to be a joke and whatnot, but Def Noodles actually took this very seriously, and apparently he believes that he has legal grounds to sue and might even be involving other content creators.
A lot of you have been asking me, why haven't I sued him yet? Well, after he published that tweet, I did talk to a lawyer, and the lawyer told me it was basically going to be 4 years of my life, and it was going to be about $400,000 to $500,000 in order to sue him here in California, and I don't have that money, folks. Now, I'm not going to ask you to pay for this lawsuit. My idea is, since I've been having a lot of conversations with different creators behind the scenes who, since they saw what happened to me, they've been approaching me, they've been telling me their stories with Keemstar. I've had like maybe over 20 people who shared stories of how Keemstar personally defamed them and tried to destroy their careers. What I want to do is I want to start a class action lawsuit against Keemstar. And I'm very serious about this. I've had people tell me that they lost anywhere between $5 and $6 million as a result of Keemstar's lies. So the only way that I see that we can combat this is if we do it together, because I don't think anybody wants to go to court. Going to court is just hell. It really is. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of stress. And I think that if we do it together, that maybe we can all just carry a little bit of the peace together and hopefully get out on the other side with something positive that will ensure that people can feel safe on the internet again. Because as long as this guy is on the internet, nobody's safe, folks. He's going to continue lying and continue trying to destroy people's lives. Like I said yesterday, folks, you probably have your own Keemstar in your life, and you probably figured out your way to deal with it. This is my way to deal with it. So if you're a creator who has been slandered or defamed by Keemstar, or he's lied about you, please get in contact with me. I am very serious about this, starting a class action lawsuit. I've had actually 2 people so far who have expressed interest.
So as you heard in the clip, this potential class action lawsuit could take years at this point, man, and a lot of time. Honestly, I personally wouldn't want to have to go through something that long of like a legal battle, especially. It could cost $500,000, and if it involves all these other people, like I would say Def Noodles is kind of looking forward to it doing, it could basically mean that like a bunch of people online are finally trying to hold Keemstar legally responsible for the way that he covers people, portrays them online with his platforms. People believed that they've been legitimately wronged. In fact, I believe one person actually straight up said that they've lost like $5 to $6 million potentially due to Keemstar's entire thing. Obviously, as many of you know, Keemstar has kind of become public enemy #1 of the YouTube community like 70 different times. It seems like at this point, Keemstar has had some sort of beef with pretty much everybody. A lot of people online really don't like him. He's pretty widely hated, especially by people like, Ethan Klein from H3H3, Def Noodles, and really anyone that he's kind of had run-ins with in the past, in the last, 10 or 15 years of his career, I guess. So Def Noodles is basically making some pretty big, I would say, accusations at this point, saying that he was financially damaged by this claim, from the fact that sponsorships apparently ended up leaving his channel and whatnot due to this, losing out on sponsorships. Apparently, his reputation took a hit and people looked at him differently or actually thought this was real. Personally, I never thought this was real at all. Like, I never thought Def Noodles was actually a P word, as he calls it in his video, which I understand he's trying not to get demonetized or age restricted or anything like that. But apparently, he, as he claims, a lot of people believed this. I have personally not seen anyone who actually believed this off the jump. I don't know exactly who he's talking about it in particular. If it's his fans that thought so, I have no idea. But I mean, when you're talking about a lawsuit like this, and you're talking about having these other creators potentially join in on it and kind of like, I guess, spearhead a campaign against Keemstar in court, that is pretty serious, okay? Even for the entire YouTube community. It's not just important for, the people, I guess, involved in the case and Keemstar and Def Noodles or whatever. These kinds of things can actually set precedent, and if Keemstar were to lose some sort of defamation case against these people for reporting on them supposedly inaccurately and making jokes about them being P words and whatever else the suit may allege that he's done, right, that can really affect and change how people people behave online, especially when they're reporting about and talking about other people. You may argue that this is a good or a bad thing. Personally, though, I don't think this lawsuit is really going anywhere. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, obviously. I don't know exactly what the law is and everything, but from my understanding of the law, you have to, in a defamation case like this, absolutely prove pretty much 100% without any sort of doubt that whatever libelous or slanderous claims were made against you, whatever, was said that you felt was so defamatory, it has to basically be proven that that actually had some sort of irreparable damage to your career or your platform or your income in some way. And it's just not going to work out like a YouTube video, right? Like here on YouTube, you can drop a couple screenshots of tweets and your audience will support you for calling out or whatever, right? But when you're in the court of law, like there's going to have to be financial documents that prove this. He's going to have to be able to prove that even if sponsorships really left his channel and everything, and people actually thought that like he was viewed worse off because of this, there's going to have to be concrete evidence, right? Like there's going to have to be financial documents that prove that what was said from Keemstar is 100% basically what caused these sponsorships to leave. And I don't know exactly how you prove that. I mean, yeah, sure, you can prove that you didn't make that sponsorship money, you can prove you didn't earn it, but to outright prove that, I guess, a joke tweet about you being a P-word is what's actually behind, I guess, you losing those sponsorships, I think it would take a pretty damn good lawyer, and it would take somebody who knows exactly what they're looking for in order to find that. I don't doubt that for $500,000 in 4 years, you could find somebody, especially with other YouTubers kind of gilded together, that you could find someone who could do something like this, but once again, like in court, you gotta prove it beyond like any sort of doubt. It can't be really like a he said, she said kind of thing, and in fact, from what I know, most of these defamation lawsuits like this are either settled out of court or straight up just thrown out of court in the first place before they even really reach a verdict or anything. They usually don't go anywhere, and honestly, I don't really know if a judge is going to be willing to sit here and, listen to basically what equates to YouTube and Twitter bickering between these two, especially if there's no hardcore concrete evidence from Def Noodles that this is actually what's responsible for the financial loss and, the reputation suffering and whatnot. From my personal perspective, and I don't hate Def Noodles, keep in mind, I don't hate Keemstar, I say I'm pretty neutral in this entire thing. When I think of like the things that have destroyed, not entirely destroyed, but like really kind of harshly damaged Def Noodles' credibility and his reputation, especially in the online community and the creator community, is, yes, one, his ability to fumble the fuck out of allegations and stories that he covers on his channel, sometimes outright embellishing some of the details of these stories to make them seem worse than they are, or, putting small twists on him that change the outcome a lot if it's somebody that he doesn't like or, once again, he's kind of had beef with in the past. I mean, there's a reason that he's called Defamation Noodles, and it's not because he was telling the full truth and only the truth about the people that he was covering. I mean, I've even made a video talking about Def Noodles in the past because he's had a history of like making bold and outrageous claims and saying insane things about all kinds of different people, and then using a defense basically of like, oh bro, it's just a character, oh bro, it's just a joke. Well, it's kind of hard to say that you're playing a character and playing a joke when, you're making slanderous and ridiculous comments about other people, but you can't afford that benefit of the doubt to others. And then also when you constantly bounce between being serious and being a character in your show, it's just, I don't know, it's weird to me that, you can basically say, oh, it's a persona that I'm putting on in my videos, but then you're coming here and telling us that you're extremely serious about a $500,000 multi-year lawsuit against another creator that might involve other people because he joked about you being a pedophile on Twitter. So the whole Def Noodles and Keemstar thing even goes beyond just this lawsuit. So I decided to kind of, I guess, delve into Def Noodles' recent content, because given I haven't watched him in so long, I haven't really heard about him that much in so long, besides maybe like a passing quote tweet or something on my timeline. And it seems like he has like an actual personal vendetta against Keemstar in a way. So in the last year or so, I went back about 9 or 10 months when I searched Keemstar on his channel before it started hitting random playlists and stuff, but in about 8 to 10 months, he has made dozens of videos in which he's covering Keemstar in some way. He's in the thumbnail or he's in the title, and as someone who makes, I guess, like current events commentary and like trending topic commentary videos myself, I don't think there's anyone that within that period of time I've made that many videos on. I think at this point, like, the person I maybe have talked about the most besides like YouTube in general is like Pokimane maybe. And even then, I'm pretty sure I've made less than at least 24 videos in like 3 years on her. And so I decided to go, I guess, to his recent uploads, the video tab, and just kind of see if this is a current trend going on in his recent content. And in the last 7 days or so, he's posted 8 videos, and out of those 8 videos, 6 of them involve Keemstar in some way. He'll be covering how H3H3 destroyed Keemstar, or how Keemstar attacked H3H3 or his wife, or Keemstar struck his channel, or he slandered Pokimane. Making 6 videos on somebody in 8 days is pretty fucking unhinged in my personal opinion. Even if you are covering trending topics and commentary and stuff like that, it's basically the Keemstar show at this point. It's the H3H3 and Keemstar show at this point. It's basically reporting on the constant bickering between these two that stemmed from like a 3-year-long beef between them now, and it's extremely clear who he favors in these situations. Personally, I don't give a shit about H3H3 and Keemstar's beef. It means literally fucking nothing to me. I'm not involved in it. Their personal issues with one another are their personal issues. This story has basically been dead to me for like 3 years because H3H3 making comments about Keemstar on his podcast and then Keemstar putting a fucking tweet or a Twitter video or something up about him just doesn't really interest me enough to make a video, to be real with you, especially to do it 6 times in 8 days. And the whole lawsuit thing is kind of funny to me, not because I don't think there's a very good chance that Def Noodles and the other plaintiffs would win this case, but because Def Noodles is basically claiming defamation has been made against his name for these jokes, but yet Def Noodles has literally earned the nickname Defamation Noodles for his tendency to make absolutely fucking ludicrous comments about other people. And it's even gotten to the point that Def Noodles is claiming that Keemstar is like striking his content, basically striking his videos and whatnot in order to silence Def Noodles for whatever reason. I guess because he's talking bad about him or he's criticizing him and whatnot. So Def Noodles apparently had a video or some sort of podcast episode, I should say, taken down due to a child safety policy against YouTube community guidelines. People have made the assumption that this is because in this podcast he shows a video of Keemstar like pushing some sort of like ice cream or cake or something into a little kid's face. It's like a really old, years old clip of Keemstar and somebody else, I think, like, I guess, pushing this kid's face in ice cream or something, and it was removed for child safety. Obviously, YouTube's guidelines and policies, in my opinion, have gotten a little extreme in the last few years to the point where, I'm going to be honest, I don't think that that's necessarily going to violate some sort of child safety policy. I don't think it should, at least. I mean, it'd have been different if they were, like, I don't know, like, dragging the kid from a back of a pickup truck on, like, a skateboard or something with he's hanging onto a rope surfboarding kind of thing. But that's not really what happened here, so I personally don't agree with this video being removed from the guidelines and everything. But Def Noodles took the opportunity to complain about YouTube taking his video down for community guidelines, and he took the opportunity to spin it out of, like, I guess the context of what it is to blame Keemstar and basically accuse him of striking this video down for minor safety and whatnot. Keep in mind, quite literally, anyone could have reported this video just by simply hitting the report button, and it could have just been, I guess, investigated by a bot or an employee at YouTube that thought that it was bad enough or whatever. There's literally zero actual evidence that ties Keemstar to doing this, and Keemstar has been accused of actually doing things like this in the past and like trying to suppress people's content that's critical of him and things like that, but I feel like if you're gonna say that, like, you need to have some direct proof that he's actually behind it before you just outright make that claim. Keemstar ended up posting a video on Twitter in which, at least on one of his YouTube accounts, he goes to like his report/flag history to prove that Def Noodles' video was not in there. Once again, to be fair to Def Noodles here, you can, I guess, just log into like a second or third YouTube channel/account that you have and just report someone's video, and that history of reporting content will be completely listed separately than like your main channel. So for instance, like if I wanted to report someone's video but not want to do it on my Optimus channel, if I I was really vindictive enough, I could just do it on like my More Optimus or like my Optimus Shorts channel. So Keemstar at least posted evidence that he didn't do it on one account. I guess the concept behind it is Keemstar apparently has these contacts at YouTube and he just can pull the strings behind the scenes like that. I don't totally know how true or false that is, to be honest with you. I don't know what kind of relations or connections that Keemstar has, but it's become this back and forth situation that might potentially lead to litigation and might potentially lead to, I would think, one of the biggest lawsuits we've ever seen on YouTube if this actually goes through and if people are going to join in on this like they're saying. I mean, if you've lost $5 to $6 million because I guess Keemstar didn't report on your situations fairly or he slandered you in some way with his platform, I would think you're a pretty massive creator at that point. I don't know if this is directly referring to like H3H3. That's like who kind of comes to mind for me personally, at least because like of the beef between Keemstar and H3 and how they've kind of feuded for years and went back and forward and all that. Maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe it does involve other creators that I'm not necessarily just thinking about at the moment. So at the end of the day, man, I honestly don't even expect for any sort of litigation to even really happen. I don't expect a lawsuit to ever get filed. And if it does get filed, I'm expecting it to be settled out of court or dismissed because, I mean, there's just not enough concrete proof being shown straight up, at least that I've seen, right? If Def Noodles has some sort of background information that like genuinely proves that Keemstar has financially damaged his platform and damaged his reputation to a level where it hinders his ability to do his job, I guess the court will decide whether or not Keemstar's guilty of this, if it even goes to court in the first place. Personally, to me, it's starting to come off like Def Noodles is just honestly obsessed with Keemstar in a way. To be fair, Keemstar is completely obsessed with H3H3, and likewise, those two are always fucking going back and forth, so it's not like Def Noodles is the only one who's not, I guess, in this situation and just completely fucking laser focused in on somebody else, but I mean, he's covering him every single day on his channel. They've been going back and forth, and now all of a sudden a lawsuit's popping up, so I guess we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out. But until next time, guys, thank you for tuning in. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here, and follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus, and make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. Just restocked a bunch of stuff over there as well. And also, still doing the Q&A over on Twitter using hashtag Optimus Q&A. I think I'll probably keep it open for like maybe the rest of today, and then try to get the Q&A video out tomorrow or the next day. There is already a lot of questions to go through, but even with that, I'm still excited to see what else you guys might ask. And yeah, with that being said, until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, talking about the Def Noodles and Keemstar drama, and signing out.